Hey, this is Ron with Ron's Fuel Stop. I'm saying that because many of you are seeing this on Facebook. You follow me, my truck driving life, or your friends and family, and it's a way that we tend to stay in contact or kind of updated on each other is when we follow each other on social media. But this also will be posted on my channel, my YouTube channel. It's called Ron's Fuel Stop. And it's the new year, already well into February now. And I've been a little bit off the grid. I've been posting some things over on my Ron to Heaven uh, channel on Instagram because I don't like to complain. And the last 4 weeks of my life have been, I guess, in the lowest version of me, prone to make me complain and even despondent, I guess. And I think I'm probably not unlike a lot of people that when things happen to you, you tend to say, why did this happen to me? And especially because my whole life I've been what I would call a spiritual individual, not necessarily religious all the time, but spiritual in that I believe that there is a God, is a devil, there's a spirit world, that things are a battle sometimes in the world and in culture and therefore in our lives. But I feel like too often I've asked the question, why did this happen to me? And I guess my big point in this video for Ron's Fuel Stop is to say that things don't happen to you. Things don't happen to me. Things just happen. And to get too personal about those things is to just, I guess, build the world around me or build a world around you. And the world is far bigger than you or me. And we're a part of something that is going on in the world. Whether you say, God wound it up or God's hand is on it, we are a part of it. And but to say that God lets stuff happen to make us do something or to not do something, I feel is, on a theological sense, not biblical, and on a just common sense, who would want to serve a God like that? You would not be able to say he's a loving God. You'd have to say he's a controlling God, and he's like a worst version of a bad father. And rather, he is a defining version of what a father ought to be, who loves you first before your actions or your performance is even brought out into reality. So anyway, rewind back to January 9th, a month ago. I broke down with my semi in Knoxville, Tennessee. Actually, in Crossville, Tennessee. A bunch of lights went on my dash. These new trucks are run by computers that are running computers that allow the engine to run. And my computer said you can't go more than 5 miles an hour, which doesn't work great when you're trying to pull freight up and down mountains in I-40 over by Asheville, Tennessee, or Asheville, North Carolina. Anyway, I got towed 80 miles into a wonderful Kenworth dealer who spent a day and a half updating the software of my computer that lets my truck run and sent me on my way saying he thought I was repaired. Of course, that experience cost me several $1,000s, but only a day and a half not making money, so I can always make that back. I made it about 6 days more, and the following Friday night, I was in going from Iowa to Illinois on I-80, and I started to get lights again on my truck. They go progressive. The one is just letting you know something's going on. Then the next one says you're going to have to do something about it, and the third stage says you have to do something about it within 1 minute, which means you have to stop the truck or it will stop its own engine for you. And I got into the Flying J there in LaSalle, Illinois, and no go. Bad cold weather, as you guys remember, the third week of January, and I got towed 2 miles for over $900 in DePrew, Illinois, city trucks, and they couldn't get to me. That was a Saturday morning. They couldn't get to me till Wednesday. They worked on me on Wednesday and on Thursday, and they released me and said I was good to go. But they told me that the computer that my company uses to do all of our work on would have to be removed in order for the truck to continue to work. Well, of course, my company wasn't good for that. So I drove 2 days. I got up to Green Bay on a Friday night, and I was not able to get into a company shop to get a new computer put in for the truck until Tuesday morning following. So by now, time has gone by, and I've gone from the 9th, 10th of January to where I'm getting toward the 31st of January, and my truck goes in the shop. It gets a new computer. I make it down to south of Neely's Landing is actually where I went, but that's south of St. Louis by about 110 miles. Came back up, got to Rochelle, Illinois. I don't know, it's something about Illinois that's my truck doesn't like. Man, all the same lights. The very same lights, the very same process that had happened to me now 3 times. So that time I had to get towed 23 miles up to Rockford, and that was last Sunday morning. This is now Saturday the 9th of February, but last Sunday morning I was shut down. I got towed on Monday afternoon. That 23 miles, my truck went into the shop Monday morning because that's when they open, and they told me on Tuesday morning that they wouldn't be able to do any more work on my truck until Tuesday this coming, which will be the 12th of February. And guess what? That's the same day my wife and I leave on 8 days of vacation. So when this is all said and done, I'm going to be about 5 weeks, 6 weeks, with only about 8 days of work in all of that time. So what I got to say is that would probably put most people out of business. It has caused significant pain and anguish and sleepless nights. But what I will say is that I'm really thankful that I planned for what I thought was a worst case scenario. And because of that, we're going to make it. Now this is worse than the worst case scenario, which brings up, I guess, my point of this video. Often the worst case scenario that we experience is worse than what we had planned for. And it kind of pushes us into 2 choices. The one choice is that we become an angry person, or we become depressed, or we say, you know, my circumstances made me into this person that I am that is short-tempered or that is grumpy or whatever. And, you know, our circumstances should not define us. If you think you have the worst circumstances, you're going to be allowed to find somebody, if you'll just open your eyes, that has worse and yet is doing better than you. That happened to me last night. We had the opportunity to go to a concert here in Green Bay where my wife and I live. And it was over at the local high school. And among the artists performing was our son Justin's battle buddy, who his name is also Justin, and concert name JP, but JP Lane, sorry. But Justin Lane is a dear friend. But just shortly after, well, he told the story last night about what he went through in Afghanistan, where his truck drove over an IED, and the blast from that truck blew both of his legs off. It gave him 26 injuries. It broke his spine. It basically separated his spine from his pelvis. It broke his pelvis. It crushed multiple organs. It just tore him up. And through nothing short of a miracle from God and the miraculous hands of excellent doctors, he was put back together, and now he has a couple of prosthetic legs, which are very becoming, Justin. And he is traveling around full time, telling his story and singing. And last night we had the privilege of listening to him debut the song that he wrote for our son Justin, who was killed in Afghanistan just prior to Justin Lane's experience that made him a multiple Purple Heart recipient. And just thankful so much for the strength that we saw in JP Lane as he told his story, and in spite of the fact that he has been in so much pain and on so many meds and continues to be in so much pain, that he travels around encouraging people, telling his story, and saying basically, hey, if I can do it, if I can make it through my circumstance, you can make it through yours. And it hit home very much with me in saying that don't let your circumstances define you, but use your circumstances to become the version of you that you thought was impossible. In fact, I guess I'm becoming a version of me that I never even desired. I mean, I have other versions, basically things I've seen in other people that I would like to become. And then I've had things that I've seen in other people that I thought, well, I could never go through. But the thing is, when you go through what you go through, you can't compare. You can't compare to other people. You have to say, I'm now going through this. It's not going to define me. I am going to rise above it. I'm going to be a better person than what I guess I intended on being. And I am going to say that because I'm in this situation, rather than why am I in it, because I'm in it, I'm going to be the version of me that can not only overcome it, but maybe somewhat thrive in it, and say that the best is yet to come. So I don't know, in my trucking life, which some of you like to keep up with, I would way prefer one of your 9 to 5, 8 to 4:30, 7 to 3 jobs, but this is the one that I can do well and provide for my family, and so I'm in it, and I'm in it till God tells me, no, do this instead, or shows me this instead. So I'm still in it. And even though I'm all these weeks without work, I believe that this is going to work out. And a few months from now, you and I will both know that it did not define me, but we continued on. So whatever your circumstances are, I pray that God will help you to overcome them in the best way possible. Bless you today.